Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, a little bit of television, some good stuff here and there. And everybody, we may be in a lockdown, but fortunately, we're all snuggled in with one Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing today, sir?
I am very snuggly, John. I want you to know that. So it's it's good to be here snuggling up with all of our international friends and viewers from across this great planet of ours.
Indeed, indeed. Did you see, by the way, that video that Tom Cruise put up yesterday?
Yeah, when he went and saw Tenet?
Yeah, it was actually kind of cool. It was him in his limo, just driving around saying, "Hey, it's an exciting day," and then it was him pulling up. He goes, "I'm back at the movies," and he went in to go watch Tenet.
I love that before he rolled up to the theater, people were like pointing and screaming at his car, and he's like, "How do they know me? I'm wearing a mask."
Dude,
I thought that was hilarious.
Just the weirdest thing. Ann and I, Universal City Walk is open. So Ann and I went to Universal City Walk a couple weeks ago to go have dinner at one of the outdoor patio restaurants there. And I wanted to stick my, what's that collectible store that's at Universal City Walk?
Things from Another World.
Things from Another World. Which I sent you a picture from that. That's when I sent you the picture, I think, of the Wakandan throne. But I was wearing a mask and sunglasses. And some dude just came up and said, "Hey man, I love watching the John Campea Show every day." I'm like, "Oh, cool, thanks." And we talked for a second, and Ann was like, "How the hell did he even recognize who you were?" And I was thinking about that, because you're right. Tom Cruise is in the sky. He's got this mask on, and people were still pointing out his windows like, Tom Cruise, Tom Cruise. I don't know how people do it. It's pretty fun. Anyway, guys, listen. We are in the midst of a pandemic. The theaters are still closed for the most part, but they're starting to open back up. The theaters started to open back up. We've got, like, for instance, we've got New Mutants opening. We got Tenet opening, obviously. Despite all the carnage and chaos that has been wrought upon the movie industry, and of course the rest of the world, movie industry is a first world problem, but that's what we're here to talk about, our little box of the movie world. There are still movies opening this year. There are still movies opening in 2020, or at least so they say. And we thought we would take today to discuss what Rob and I both think are the top 10 best or most anticipated for us movies that you can still look forward to, at least at the moment, coming out here in 2020. And so that's what we're going to do here today, guys. And just so you know, we're going to do that up here first. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you've got a live comment or question you'd like to send into the show, simply use the tip link that's at the top of the description of this video, or enter it manually at streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. You'll be getting your comment or question on the show, and you'll be supporting the show at the same time. All right, guys. With that said, let's get on to what we think are the top 10 most anticipated movies of the year here. And Rob, I'll allow you to take us home with it. So I'll start things off here. I want to mention. Oh, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, I didn't know if you wanted me to start. You mentioned
first.
I'll
start. I'll let you take it home. I'll go first, then you can take it home second.
Oh, I see. Got it.
So I want to start off by mentioning two honorable mentions that I am looking forward to, that I'm actually legitimately looking forward to seeing. One is the Butler movie Greenland. I'm a sucker for Gerard Butler. I'm a sucker for his, and of course the fabulous Marina Baccarin is in this as well. You of course remember her from Serenity and Firefly and Deadpool and that. So she's in that. You got the director of Snitch is directing the film, and I really like Snitch, so I'm looking forward to that. The trailer was kind of bonkers. I'm looking for it. Didn't crack my top 10, but we've got Greenland that is still scheduled to open on September 25th. September 25th is when Greenland is scheduled to open. Next up, we've got the new Liam Neeson film, which I am also a sucker for Liam Neeson films. And Honest Thief looks like just another run-of-the-mill Liam Neeson film, but you know what? I kind of like those run-of-the-mill Liam Neeson films. Honestly, if I saw the trailer for it, I liked it. This one opens up on, when does it open up again? On October 9th. Opens on October 9th. So 2 honorable mentions. We got Greenland that's opening up on September 25th, and we've got Honest Thief that is opening up on October 9th. Okay. With that, let's get into my top 10. At number 10 for me, Rob, is actually going to be West Side Story. Now, it's weird that I'm putting this at number 10 because Steven Spielberg, to me, is the greatest filmmaker of all time. But I got to be honest with you, I'm not a West Side Story guy.
How can that be, John?
I know, because I know you love West Side Story, but I'm not a... I'm just not...
Oh, come on. Yes, you are. You are.
I'm not a West Side Story guy. I know a lot of people...
You've got a rocket in your pocket? Come on.
No, we could go many directions with that. But no, I'm actually not... I'm not excited for this. Now, maybe once I start seeing some more things fleshed out. But hey, listen, it is still Steven Spielberg. And so I'm still down. But I've got it as low as number 10, which is really weird that I would have a Steven Spielberg film all the way down at number 10. All right. Next one up is also kind of weird that I have it this low because of who's directing it. But it's Kenneth Branagh's Death on the Nile. I love Kenneth Branagh. I love this guy and his direction and all that kind of stuff. And I was super excited for Murder on the Orient Express. But if you remember, I didn't love Murder on the Orient Express. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was terrible or bad or anything, but I was disappointed. And so my enthusiasm for his new one, Death on the Nile, and you remember, Rob, the trailer for that just dropped. But because I didn't like... The trailer's all right, but because I was so disappointed with the first one, I'm finding my expectations are very, very tempered for this new one. But it's still Kenneth Branagh, so it still makes my list. So I got Kenneth Branagh here, sitting at number 9 with Death on the Nile. All right, let's get into number 8. Number 8 is Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds, Taika Waititi, and being directed by Sean Levy, who did a lot of the stuff with Stranger Things.
Yep.
And of course, he did the Night at the Museum stuff and Real Steel, which I love Real Steel. And this just looks fun. It doesn't look like, Ryan Reynolds is playing Ryan Reynolds again, like he has been the last few years. Yes. But we love that. And I thought this trailer looked great. So for me at number 8 is Free Guy. Okay, going into number 7. And by the way, West Side Story is opening on December 18th. Death on the Nile is opening on October 23rd. Free Guy is opening on December 11th. Now, of course, you got to put an asterisk beside all these dates because they may get moved again. But right now, that's right. So Free Guy right now is scheduled to come out on December 11th. All right. Let's move into my number 7 film. My number 7 film is actually one I'm going to go see tomorrow, which is New Mutants. There's a lot of people, Rob, and I understand this, Rob. There's a lot of people who are very skeptical about this movie right now because of all the drama. This is a movie that, they announced 5 years ago, went into production over 3 years ago. This had like 17 release dates. A lot of people never thought it was going to see the light of day, so I get it. I have still always thought this movie looked pretty damn good. And I'm excited to see it. It was made under the Fox era. And Fox was getting into some really heavy experimental stuff. They did Logan, which was unlike anything else. Nobody would have made Logan. Nobody would have made that movie. Fox made that movie. It was incredible. Nobody was going to make that Deadpool movie. Fox made that Deadpool movie. They were doing stuff, and then they were trying this something else kind of edgy and different with a horror slant on these things. They went with New Mutants. So I got to say, I'm excited to see this. So I've got New Mutants at number 7. That, of course, is scheduled to open this weekend on August 26th. All right. Let me get into my next one here. At number 6 for me, some may put it higher. I've got it where I've got it, but it's Black Widow. It's a Marvel film. It's an MCU film, so it ranks high. But I have always been very forthright that while I love the MCU, and while I love Hawkeye, and while I love Black Widow in the MCU, I have never particularly been interested in either standalone Hawkeye or standalone Black Widow projects. I love them as additional cast in... what's the word I'm looking for? when it's multiple people together.
Ensemble.
Thank you. I love them when they're a part of an ensemble. I love those characters, but for whatever reason, I've never been interested in seeing their standalone stuff. And now we do have a Hawkeye standalone thing coming in a Disney Plus series, and we've got Black Widow coming. Maybe that'll change my mind. Still, it's an MCU film. I do love these characters, so it's as high as number 6, but I can't put it any higher than number 6. So right now, number 6 for me is Black Widow, currently scheduled to come out on November 6th. That's when that's scheduled to come out. Okay. Next up, there's a Pixar film, so you know it's going to be in my top 5. It's Soul. As of right now, Soul is still scheduled to come out on November 20th. This has caught everybody's imaginations, Rob. What's really funny about this movie is that it doesn't have action or huge laughs in the, there's no big action. There's no huge laughs in the trailers. It's the premise of it, but it has caught everybody's imagination. And like everybody started talking about Soul. And I got to admit, I'm one of them too, so I've got Soul ranked up at number 5. Soul comes out on November 20th. All right, now we get into our top 4. For me, you knew it had to be in my top 5 somewhere. I'm going to go with the James Bond film, No Time to Die. We are talking about my favorite James Bond of all time. And I know that's borderline sacrilegious in a world where we have Roger Moore and in a world where we have Sean Connery. By the way, Sean Connery just celebrated his 90th birthday.
I know, right?
Happy belated birthday to Mr. Sean Connery. But this has been my favorite Bond of all time. Bummed that it's been delayed. I've enjoyed the trailers. I think it all looks good. I cannot wait to watch No Time to Die. That is currently scheduled to open on November 20th. November 20th, the same day as Soul. As a matter, so Soul and James Bond No Time to Die are both scheduled to open on the same day. If they both hold, what a great day double feature that's going to be. I can't wait to go and check that out. All right, now we get into our top 3. And at number 3 for me, it's the latest DCEU movie. Patty Jenkins presents Wonder Woman 84. Rob, I love what Patty Jenkins did with the first Wonder Woman. I haven't been super thrilled. I'll be honest, I haven't been super thrilled with the trailers for Wonder Woman 84 yet. I like the first one better than the second one. But look at this cast. It's an incredible cast. It's still Patty Jenkins. As long as Patty Jenkins is at the helm, I'll be interested. I really like the last one. So Wonder Woman 84 for me takes the number 3 spot. Now we get into the top 2. And everybody knows what the top 2 are. The only question is, what order are they in? Well, at number 2 for me, I've got Tenet. And by the way, Wonder Woman 84 is scheduled currently to open on October 2nd. We'll see if it holds that date. Tenet, ladies and gentlemen, September 3rd. Tenet, it's Christopher Nolan. It's getting really good reviews. Not the best reviews in the world like we come to expect from a Christopher Nolan film, but the people I've talked to who have actually seen it were really quite happy with it. It's still a Christopher Nolan film. I can't wait to see it. So Tenet for me is my number 2. And that only leaves one. And I think at one point Tenet was my number 1, but the closer we get to Dune, the more I think about Dune, the more I think about who's directing Dune, the more I see it who's starring in Dune, the more I look at who the cinematographer is in Dune, the more I meditate, if you will, Rob, on Dune, it just had to take my number 1 spot. And so Dune is currently scheduled to open up on December 18th at this moment. So I don't think it's any big surprise to just about anybody, Rob, that the top 2 are Tenet and Dune. But I mean, it is what it is. That's where I've got them. So just to highlight once again, everybody, I'll bring this up here so y'all can see it. To highlight once again, my honorable mentions are, of course, Honest Thief for October 9th and Greenland for September 25th. At number 10 for me is West Side Story. That's currently scheduled to come out on December 18th. My number 9 most anticipated still for this year is Death on the Nile, scheduled to come out on October 23rd. Ryan Reynolds' Free Guys, my number 8 film, coming out on December 11th. At number 7, I have New Mutants coming out this weekend, which I'm going to go see tomorrow. At number 6 is Black Widow, opening on November 6th. Here's hoping it keeps that date. At number 5, and number 4, 2 films opening on the same day on November 20th. We got Pixar's Soul at number 5, and we got the James Bond film No Time to Die at number 4. At number 3, I've got Wonder Woman 84. At number 2, I have Tenet that's coming out on September 3rd. And my number 1 most anticipated film that's still scheduled to come out this year, currently sitting at December 18th, please hold that date, is Dune. So, Rob, that is my personal list that I've got up there for my top 10 of what I'm looking forward to. I'm sure most of the films you're going to have on yours as well, because there's a limited selection there, but still some good looking films still scheduled to come out. The question is the order you're going to have these things. So if you will, Rob, take it away. What is your 10 most anticipated films for this year?
All right. At number 10, I've got Soul. I say Soul at number 10 because, well, Soul, obviously Pixar is Pixar, and they've never let me down. Even Cars, people say Cars is the least, but the subject matter of Soul, what it's about, the trailers have me so intrigued. It's right up my alley. The subject matter, it just looks delightful and interesting and intellectually compelling and probably very heartwarming as well. A movie about death, heartwarming. I think so. So I'm excited for that. At number 9, I also have, I don't know if it's the same as you, but Free Guy. We're seeing a little bit of this. What is it like if a video game world was real and you were a character but didn't know it? It looks like it's very witty. It's got Ryan Reynolds. I like that it's probably going to be existential in a way. Like, what does this mean when are we all characters in video games where we really don't have free will? The trailer to me looked really great because the premise is great. Obviously, you've got a great high concept premise, but it looks like there's more going on underneath the surface of the movie than at first glance. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Number 8, West Side Story. I'll watch anything that Steven Spielberg makes, as you will, but West Side Story, the original film that director Robert Wise and director Jerome Robbins made, is one of my favorite films of all time because I'm a jet all the way. From my first cigarette to my last dying day, John, when you're a jet, I'm that cool. So I'm looking forward to this. I've wanted to see Steven Spielberg make a musical since I saw the opening number, Anything Goes, in 1984 that opens Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy could make an amazing musical. He never has, and this is his first, and I really am looking forward to his take on this. Number 7, now I have to say, ever since I was a kid and read Larry Niven and Jerry Pournelle's book, it got taken away from me in music class in 6th grade, Lucifer's Hammer, which is about a comet hitting the earth. Anytime anything is falling out of the sky, I mean, how cool was it when Armageddon and Deep Impact came out in the same year? I mean, I was pretty excited about it. And look, I've been watching to make myself feel better this Australian movie. If you've never seen this movie before,
The Final Hours.
The Final Hours, man, dude, it's about the last 18 hours of the Earth in Australia when an asteroid hits. It's the most depressing movie ever. I love it. But Greenland. Come on. Who doesn't want to see Gerald Butler trying to save his family and evacuating them to Greenland as the world is going to hell in a handbasket? Come on. Don't you want to see it? I want to see it. I don't know why you put this in honorable mention. You say this to me, it gets my blood rushing to my loins. I just want to see massive destruction. I want to see people dying, running for their lives. I want to see molten fire in the sky and buildings being destroyed. I'm in. So, and then next on my list, of course, we should have had it already, Black Widow. I am the MCU fan that I am. I mean, this to me is the beginning of their news, even though I guess this movie is a prequel, so it goes, does it count as an Infinity Saga movie? I guess it has to. So the Infinity Saga grows from 23 movies to 24 movies. I really want to see this, but I would imagine that there's a post-credit tag that launches the same way the end of Spider-Man Far From Home did, the new launching pad of what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to become or where it's going. I don't know. But I love Scarlett Johansson in this role. Very excited to see it. So good on her. And then, as you said, we've waited a long time for this. It's based on one of my favorite comic stories from The New Mutants. Of course, The New Mutants movie opening. I can't go with you to Las Vegas. I've been forbidden. But it is being seen. It's opening in drive-ins here in LA. I'm going to go see it at the Rose Bowl Drive-In. Can't wait to see it. It's been a long time coming. I mean, I've never heard of a movie that's been, I think, delayed this long, but there you have it. I'm a big fan. So
what number do you have this at? Is this number 5 for you?
This is number 5. New Mutants is number 5. New Mutants is number 5, and number 4 is Wonder Woman 84. I hope it's not a Blue Monday after I see this movie open, but I like Patty Jenkins, but like you, these trailers have left me a little underwhelmed. I'm a big fan of the character of Maxwell Lord, who was introduced back in Justice League International back in the 80s. And the movie looks, I love the first Wonder Woman, but this looks a little goofy, wish fulfillment. I like the period, but Kristen Wiig as Cheetah she doesn't seem, even when she uses her wish fulfillment to become Cheetah, she doesn't seem like that formidable of a threat. It seems like Wonder Woman will fight her a few times and knock her out, and that'll be done. But who knows? I don't know. I want to see it. It's going to be fun. I'm excited. Now, this next movie, obviously, people know I'm a James Bond fan. At number 3, I've got to put No Time to Die. It would normally be higher.
I would think you would have had that one higher.
Nope. It would normally be higher if I have not been, other than Casino Royale, the Daniel Craig Bond films have been very hit and miss for me.
Oh, you didn't like Skyfall?
I was not a big fan of Skyfall. That was a movie where James Bond repeatedly failed the entire movie. From the opening credit sequence to the end of the film, James Bond is a failure. And I didn't dig it. I thought it was too much of a Dark Knight riff. I get why everyone loves it, but not my favorite Bond. And Spectre was a snooze fest. I was really disappointed in Spectre. But I love the Bond franchise. Even when Bond is bad, he's still pretty good. Like pizza. And I really I can't wait to see this movie. I'm dying to see it. I had tickets to go see it at the Cinerama Dome. I had my favorite seats in the theater. I bought them in advance. I was so excited. That was at the beginning of April, man. April. It's going to be September soon. So I've been waiting for this. I can't wait to see it. I've loved the Bond franchise my whole life. Number 2, it used to be my number 1, but after the reviews came out, it slipped to number 2, is, of course, Christopher Nolan's Tenet. I've been dying to see this movie. I can't wait to see it. I really, what more needs to be said about this movie? It's big, it's bold. I want to see it in IMAX. I don't know if I'll be able to see it in IMAX, but boy, I certainly would like to see it in IMAX and laser projection. But who knows? So, who doesn't want to see this movie? Everybody wants to see this movie, except the people who've seen it, because they've already seen it. And then, of course, number 1 is going to be a no surprise to anyone. My number 1 film, John, is, of course, Dune. Denis Villeneuve's Dune. I love the book. When I read it for the first time, I think I was 11 or 12. It blew my mind. I'm a big fan. I just yesterday in the mail got the new French transfer of Dune that they just put out on Blu-ray. I know there's a 4K version of it coming out here to prepare myself, but I've loved this story for a long period of time. I think Denis Villeneuve is one of our best working directors. I think he brings a level of intelligence and class to any of his projects. I've been a fan of his since all the way back to Incendies and Enemy, and I'm looking very forward to seeing where he takes this movie.
So just to highlight again, and so our lists were really not all that dissimilar, actually. So just to run it down for everybody one more time, I bring up my list, but really just to give you the dates. So for a lot of these things, first of all, the ones that I had on my honorable mention, Greenland, September 25th is when Greenland is currently scheduled to come out. Honest Thief, October 9th. Then we got West Side Story, December 18th. Death on the Nile, October 23rd. Free Guy on December 11th. New Mutants, which I'm seeing tomorrow, on August 26th. Black Widow on November 6th. Soul on November 20th. No Time to Die, the James Bond film, on November 20th as well. Oh boy, seriously, Rob. If both of those movies could hold their dates, to have a double feature of seeing Soul and No Time to Die on the same day would just be
What
awesome.
a wildly divergent double feature that is, too.
Oh,
I
and
love
it would be. And so anyway, my number 3 film, Wonder Woman 84, comes out on October 2nd. And both Rob's and I's number 1 and number 2, Tenet, September 3rd, if it's open in, if the theaters where you live happen to be open. And actually a little bit earlier than that, outside of the U.S., actually this weekend outside of the U.S., if you're in a country that your theaters are now open. And of course, Dune on December 18th. Now, Rob, the funny thing is, out of all of these movies, the one I am most skeptical about making its release date is actually one of the latest to release and is your and mine's number 1 film, which is Dune, because, of course, Denis Villeneuve came out just recently to talk about how the pandemic lockdown really has thrown a wrench in his post-production process. Right. And he said it's going to be a race to get it done. He didn't say, I don't think I'm going to be able to get it done. He didn't say that, but he did say it's going to be a race. So when you add that to the pandemic problems that are caused by it, it's the one that probably makes me most skeptical. Like, I think honestly, most of these, Wonder Woman was supposed to come out, in November of 2019? So that's been done forever. Black Widow was supposed to be in theaters already. So they're just waiting to put that in theaters. But there's some of these films, particularly Dune, that isn't done yet. And so they're still kind of racing to get that done. So I'm a little bit nervous about that. I'm a little bit nervous about that one making it, but hopefully if it gets delayed, it won't be by too awful much. The question here for you guys is, what are the films you are most looking forward to seeing in 2020 that are still currently scheduled to be released? I want to know what you guys, does it match up with our list? Maybe it's different. Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With all that said, down and out of the way, we're going to use the rest of the show to get caught up on your live questions. We still have a bunch from yesterday that we didn't have time for that we're going to get caught up. Plus, we're going to get to all of the questions that you guys sent in today. So we are going to move over to that right now. And we're going to get things started off here with Kevin Kidney, who writes, since they used Idris Elba as his own character instead of recasting him as Deadshot, do you think that means that William Smitherson, or Will Smith to the rest of us, will come back as Deadshot at some point, seeing as how he dropped out due to scheduling and not due to negative reasons? I never bought the scheduling thing. At all, to be honest with you. But I don't necessarily believe it was for bad reasons either. Yes, I think there is a chance. We actually talked about this the other day. I think the very fact that they, instead of having Deadshot recast, they just don't have him in there and they have other characters. I do believe that leaves the door open that they could bring him back. I mean, for all we know, the movie might open with, wow, too bad Deadshot got eaten by King Shark. And then, take anybody. But as far as I'm concerned right now, yes, the door is still open for him to come back at some point. Jesse's Bad Jokes writes, Jason Todd walks into a bar and the Joker is behind the counter. He says, Jason, I can't serve Robins here. Jason asks, why not? The Joker replies, because this is a crowbar. This is a crowbar. A little Death in the Family. A little reference there. For those of you who don't know, Jason Todd was killed by the Joker. Well, actually, no, technically, Rob.
It's terrible.
He did not get killed by the Joker with a crowbar. Because remember, he was still alive. It was, right. I'm not talking about Red Hood. I'm talking about after the crowbar, they blew up the building he was in. Technically, that's what killed him. When they said they killed him, then of course he's Red Hood now and all that kind of stuff. But I'll give you a drum hit for that. There, I'll give you the drum hit for that one. All right. The Queen of Filthy writes, I'm struggling to understand the financial benefit of the Snyder Cut for HBO Max. I mean, I want it, of course, but like the theatrical release only made $2 million more than Hancock. Well, Hancock did pretty well. Anyway, are they really going to make their investment back, or is this a longer-term goal? Here's the thing. No, they're not going to make their investment back. And they know that, and that's okay, because guess what? Do you think Apple is going to make its investment back on a $200 million price tag for a new Martin Scorsese movie that they're going to foot the bill for? No, but that's okay because they're not looking at the Snyder Cut as a money-making device. They're not looking at it as that. The way they're looking at it, which is incredibly smart, Rob, you and I have talked about this. This is marketing. They're looking at this as money they are spending on marketing. Because for good or bad, right or wrong, nothing has generated more buzz about HBO Max than the fact that Snyder Cut was going to go to HBO Max. That's been the primary thing that's got people talking. So Warner Brothers and HBO Max, Rob, they're looking at this thing as a good investment if just on the marketing level alone. That alone makes this a genius move. So no, they're not looking at this as a moneymaker. And remember, it's not like this is being made from scratch. They're spending, original reports were $30 million, but it's probably closer to double that. But they're not spending $300 million on making this. They're just spending the remaining 30, 40, 50, 60, $70 million, which is still a ton. But they just got to spend that much money to finish the film, since it's been an incomplete, unfinished film this whole time. They've got to spend that money to finish it. So they're still not going to make that money back, but it is more than worth its weight in gold just for the marketing aspect and for bringing attention to HBO. It's a brilliant move. Anyway, Rob, how would you answer that question about what their financial approach to this is?
Well, if you think about it, all shows that are made for streaming services are not returning revenue at, say, the box office. What they're doing is they're creating programming that is part of they're creating a library that only they own. Yes. So what they're trying to do is drive subscriptions. And so when people look at what they've got coming on HBO Max, Raised by Wolves, the new Ridley Scott science fiction series, it looks terrific. All of the shows that we get on streaming are these companies building exclusive libraries that will keep, hopefully, their subscriber base growing and then retaining the subscribers that they already have. I mean, it's almost like, what I think about streaming services, I think about it like physical media. I love to own physical media, but when I have my Netflix subscription, since there is no physical media versions of Netflix, it's like the Criterion Collection almost. I'm subscribing to everything that Netflix makes. So if I want to watch The Umbrella Academy, I have to be subscribed to Netflix. So that's worth my monthly subscription fee. And you think about all the different shows Netflix has, whether it's Sex Education, which is an original that I like of theirs, whether it's Umbrella Academy, all the different shows they have. That's why I pay for my subscription. And the more shows they add, the more valuable Netflix is to me. And that's why I keep coming back. And they're hoping not only do they retain me as a subscriber, but every month they're going to have new subscribers. And so that's how they justify how much they spend on a show. Same with anybody who has a subscription service. So remember, they're getting four episodes of the Justice League. According to Zack Snyder, there's going to be 4-hour-long episodes. So each one of those episodes, let's say they even they're really expensive. They're $20 million each. Well, that's not that much more than what they spend on premium episodes of a great show. Like, I don't know how much Umbrella Academy costs, but these are expensive shows to make. So they're not going to get box office return, but over the next 3 or 4 or 5 years, how many people are going to come back and watch that? And they're going to watch it only on HBO Max.
All right, let's move on. Brian O'Connor writes, Man of Steel is a true masterpiece. Yeah, I've been saying that forever. There has been speculation that Henry Lennox's General Swanwick is actually Martian Manhunter. I've never bought that at all. I hate this because, as far as I know, there was nothing in Man of Steel to suggest that. Not a fan of retrofitting new ideas like this. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that. And you're right. I hate it when it was never their intention to do something and then later try to retrofit it. I agree with you. I don't like when they do that. I think a lot of people are just thinking that because of what they did in the Supergirl TV show. But I agree with you. I don't think they're going to do that. But it ain't impossible. It is certainly something they could do. I mean, if they wanted to do it, it's not difficult for them to pull the trigger on it. But I agree with you, Brian. I don't think that's what they're doing. But we'll find out. All right. Isaac writes, I was sent in like a $20 tip. Thank you, Isaac, for supporting the channel on that level. Before DC Fandom, you had mentioned that an announcement of Henry Cavill returning as Superman was likely. Yeah, because they had reported it. I was hoping that would be the case, as Man of Steel is also my favorite. Now that it was not announced, what would be the reason? I think, Rob, there are a couple of reasons. And Rob, you remember that the day before Fandom, somebody asked, are you going to be disappointed if they don't announce Superman? And one of the things we said was, well, yeah, like a little bit, but not terribly, because we already know it's happening. Like, the major trades have all reported that Cavill and Warner Brothers are already discussing terms about him returning. So we know it's happening. So whether or not they announce it at, and I really thought they would, but whether or not they announce it at Fandom doesn't change that. So why, if it is happening, why not announce it? I think there are three particular things here to look at, Rob. I think one thing to consider is they didn't want to blow their whole load at DC Fandom. They want to have something else to announce in 2 months or in 5 months, whatever. They didn't want to blow the whole load on that. Number two, those negotiations of terms may not be completely done yet. I mean, Henry Cavill wants to come back. Warner Brothers wants to bring him back. Now they just got to work out the terms. So maybe just the final dots, the final crossing of the T's hasn't quite been finished. That's possible. That's certainly possible. And as a result of that, they have learned a lesson, Rob, because nobody has been worse at announcing projects that then get canceled than DC has been over the past 5, 6, 7 years. And I think they've learned that lesson. And so they're going to be, it ain't until it's 100% locked in concrete. It's one of the reasons I don't think they even mentioned Ava DuVernay's New Gods there, because until it's 100% locked, we ain't going to announce it. They learned that lesson. I think they learned it well. So that's another thing to consider. And another possibility is simply this. They might feel that if it's a new Superman movie or whatever, they might feel that's an announcement that is worthy of its own thing at some point in time. So I think there are several things to look at it, but I have no doubt it's going to happen. It's just about when. Rob, what do you think are the most logical possible reasons that, well, we already know Henry Cavill and Warner Brothers are going to get back together. Why not announce it at Fandom? What do you see as the reasons?
Well, I think that it's probably further out than anything that they announced. And
that's a good point.
You know, I think that The Flash and Black Adam, these are all movies that are now finally on the verge of production. Having Andy Muschietti doing this, they know it's going to happen. They're happy with the script. Ben Affleck is happy with the script. Michael Keaton, they announced. I don't think that there was anything bigger. Henry Cavill, I don't think Henry Cavill would have generated the excitement that Ben Affleck coming back and being in a Flash movie with Michael Keaton would generate necessarily. I really don't. I think that was a huge coup for them. I think it's something that's going to roll right into production when they can, assuming they can get it up and running quickly, because I think that's what they want to do. It already has a release date. And the Superman, they know he's going to come back in some capacity, but they don't have it's not defined yet. It's not as defined as Flash. If it were, we would have got that announcement, but I don't think it is. And I don't think anything would have generated as much excitement as Ben Affleck coming back.
Yeah, because and I think one of the reasons why that's probably the case is the fact that, well, we already knew Superman that Henry Cavill's come back. Like the thing with Affleck was like completely out of left field. I mean, that was completely out of left field. And
I also think, John, well, Henry Cavill's participating in the recut of Zack Snyder's Justice League. So in a way, we're going to see a different version of Henry Cavill in the black suit. We're going to see him without that stupid, ridiculous, bad special effect upper lip he has. So in a way, we're getting that as well. And I think that
of course, that was all already shot years ago, though.
Yes, but that we're going to finally see it. So Henry Cavill's already back in the fold, whereas Ben Affleck, nobody knew for sure that he was coming back into the fold. So it's pretty amazing.
All right, let's move on here. Next up, that was Isaac. John Argo Rodriguez also tipped in $20. Thank you, John. Appreciate that, man. After your documentary kicks off, is the John Campea movie starring Liam Neeson as John Campea, Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Burnett, Scarlett Johansson as Aaron Cummings, and Zooey Deschanel as Chris Carr coming out with Tarantino directing? Well, first of all, I think Aaron and Chris, both being actresses, might take issue that you wouldn't cast them to play themselves, considering they are actors in and of itself. Yeah, it's funny. Either Liam Neeson or Wayne Gretzky's got to play me. I think it got to be either that, and I think you nailed it. I think Schwarzenegger. I think Schwarzenegger's got to be Rob. I think you've nailed it on the head, John. You've nailed it on the head. That's the way it's got to go. All right, thanks for sending that in, man. An anonymous viewer writes in, I wish there would be Best Stunt Coordinator Oscar category. Are there other categories you wish there were? You know what? A lot of people have said over the years, Rob, that they really think there should be a Best Stunts or like Best Stunt Person, right? While I don't disagree in spirit, it's an almost impossible category to include.
Yeah,
because unless you are on the set, you don't actually see what's being done with the stunts. With the screenplay, you can actually read the screenplay. With the cinematography, you can see the cinematography. The costuming, you see the costuming. You don't really know what's going into stunts or all that kind of stuff. So it's not that they aren't worthy of being Oscar nominated. It's that it's far too problematic to figure out how to actually practically work that out. So I'm not quite sure, like, because, you know, the Oscars love honoring everything in movie making. If they're not doing that one, there's a pretty good reason for it. It's just it's too hard. You can't adjudicate it. It's too difficult to adjudicate. The one, Rob, I've always thought they should do is casting. And much like Best Picture, where, you know, multiple producers can receive the award and all that kind of stuff, I think casting would be one of those tandem awards that the casting director and the director probably would receive together. But I always thought because getting the right person in the right role, it's not just about, go out and get all the biggest stars. That means you're great at casting. No, it's about getting the right performer in the right role. And then pairing them with other performers that they will have chemistry with and that will work well on screen. I've always thought casting should be an Academy Award because it's something you can look and see and observe. Rob, what would you say, number one, about the stunts thing? And then what other category would you think should be added to the Oscars?
Well, I think, look, nowadays, there's incredible stunts, obviously, whether they're car stunts, whether they're everything from high falls to fight scenes and all that. But nowadays, almost every stunt has digital assistance, you know, and it's very hard. I think it would be very hard to give an award for that because I think stunts in a way kind of fall under VFX now.
Not always so. There's still real practical stunt work that's done.
Oh no, there absolutely there is, but I think it's harder to judge these days than say in the days of yore. You know, when Yakima Canutt was jumping from horse to horse in the original Ben-Hur or something like that, or Stagecoach, that was done for real. You know, people doing those things. Now it's a little different, but yeah, I mean, like you said, I think an ensemble, the SAG Awards gives ensemble best ensemble cast. That makes more sense to me because you know how an ensemble works and what an ensemble brings to a film. But I don't want to denigrate all of the great stunt people. I just think that the level and kinds of stunts, there's such a wide variety of stunt work that's done, and I think that it's hard, like. What would be the criteria within the I mean, I'd be curious to see if the stunt there must be a stunt union, obviously, and they must have a certain criteria of what stunts they would put forward, just like VFX people said, here's our VFX reel to look at for Academy Awards consideration. So I guess for stunts they would do the same thing, and that could be interesting. But I think it's harder to judge.
Yeah, it's like having a category of most organized kitchen when all the food critic is doing is sitting in the dining room eating the food and isn't actually in the kitchen to see if it's an organized kitchen or not. You just can't. And I think most of the average voting members of the Academy would have no idea. It's just difficult. But if they could find a way to do it, I think it would be great. But I love your ensemble. Absolutely 100%. That should definitely be, because you're right. SAG has it. I think the Oscars should have it. That's a great call. All right. OB2 writes, hello, John. Did they ever say when Birds of Parade... I'm going to guess you mean Birds of Prey. Did they ever say when Birds of Prey takes place in the DCEU? And do you think they will reference it at all in the new Suicide Squad movie? I am going to guess there will be zero reference to the Birds of Prey movie. I don't know that. I'm just taking a guess. My guess is there will be zero reference. When does it happen? Well, it clearly happens at least, what we know at minimum, Rob, is that at the very least it takes place after the events of Suicide Squad. So we know that, and we know where Suicide Squad falls within the timeline. So I think we can probably triangulate to a pretty good guess from that. But we at least know that it happened after. Have you heard anything more specific about that, Rob?
No, I haven't.
Okay, yeah, neither have I. But at least we know it's after Suicide Squad. So if you got a good idea of where Suicide Squad lands, then you got a bit of an idea. All right, Ryan Lohner writes, my big reaction to the Justice League teaser. Snyder does know Hallelujah is not the only song in the world. Is not the only song in the world, right? Because at this point, that's pretty much like he's using the line, he was 1 week from retirement with a straight face. True, but listen, I stand on this. I stand on this. While the Justice League teaser at Fandom was not the best teaser at Fandom, I actually thought Batman was the best one. I thought the Suicide Squad was the second best one. But I still contend, I had a conversation with a buddy of mine, gave me a call yesterday because he heard me say this, but I stand by this. I think that first teaser that they put out at DC Fandom for the Snyder cut of the Justice League, I don't like using the word, Rob, normally, but I'll use it here. It was perfect. I thought it was absolutely understanding the circumstances and when they're putting it. Would it have been the perfect teaser to put out 2 months before it's actually airing? No. But for something that's the first look and a year in advance, I stand by that. I say it was absolute perfection. I thought they showed enough of it to show that this is clearly Justice League, but they also showed enough to show, but hey guys, look at all this new stuff you're going to get too. And they didn't give away the big pops. They had to show Darkseid because people would have cried till, the oceans flooded with their tears if they didn't show Darkseid. So clear that, but they didn't give too much. It was absolute designed perfection for an advanced trailer 1 year ahead of time. So, and that includes to me the music. I thought the music it felt perfect for it. I don't know, Rob. What would you say about what would you say to Ryan Lohner here about this?
Well, I read about this and what Zack Snyder was going through with his family at the time. That song meant a lot to them personally, and also I think it ties in with the fact that the Snyder Cut's finally coming out. It's almost a victory song, even though the victory is obviously bittersweet. And I think it worked on a lot of different levels. Of course, obviously, it's a favorite song of his. He's used it before, and it's not necessarily surprising. But I did think it worked really, really well. I mean, forget that the song is overused. Forget that we've all heard it a million times. Forget all that. Did it work for that trailer? And I thought, yeah, it did work for that trailer. And,
yeah, it did. It really
did. And I thought really that's all that matters. So,
and by the way, let me bring this up because when it comes to the Justice League thing, I've seen some people in the live chat joking around mentioning, well, just don't want to see Ezra running like that again. Remember all the criticism Ezra Miller got for how they made Flash run? He had this kind of weird stride thing that he did, and everybody was making fun of it. I was having a debate with a buddy of mine about that. It was like, this is just terrible. This is terrible. That's not how, sprinters run. And my thing was, oh, so it's realism you're looking for. Okay, let me ask you this. How does somebody who breaks the sound barrier run? Just historically, all the people who have run faster than the speed of sound, how exactly do they run? Oh, that's right. Nobody ever has. So maybe this is the way you got to run if you're going to break the sound barrier. That's the thing. Like everybody who runs that way, they run like what? 15 miles per hour? I don't know what the speed of a sprinter is. That's like, this is a totally different thing. Maybe the way Ezra Miller's doing it is exactly the way, if you're going to run at the speed of the Flash, fast enough to travel through time, maybe the traditional, regular, non-powered human way of doing it isn't the right way to do it. I just wanted to throw that out there. All right, let's move on here. Next up, Samir, am I on the right spot? Yes. Samir Durrani writes, hey, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. It's my birthday today. Happy birthday, Samir. May you have a glorious day and a glorious year ahead of you, my friend. Turning 19, currently on my way to Nando's for lunch. Just wanted to ask what you guys were like at 19. As in, what stuff were you into? Do you have any standout memories? Part 2, are there things you'd like to change if you can go back in time? Well, I mean, obviously, Samir, everybody, the answer to that for everybody, if you can go back to when you were 19, if you could do some things differently, obviously the answer to that is yes. Me, Rob, when I was 19, that was when I was really in the height of my band era. That was when I had the long hair. That was when I was, playing in bands. And that's when I was really trying to decide if I should pursue music as a career. It wasn't long after that I realized, I'm terribly not talented enough to do this as a career, and got out of it. But yeah, that's why I still got like all my instruments back here, and I got my guitars and whatever hanging around. And but yeah, 19-year-old me was definitely, already a huge music fan or into comics and all that kind of stuff, but I was really, really into music at the time. Rob, what was 19-year-old Rob like?
Well, I was in college, and I was going to the Evergreen State College, and I was the manager and buyer of the laser video disc division of a 3-store chain in Seattle called Silver Platters. But the summer of my 19th year, I was going out with this girl that I was madly in love with, and she ended up going up to Alaska to work on fishing boats for the summer, and she kind of went abruptly, and I was monumentally depressed. And I would just kind of sit at the beach. And the summer when I was 19, Stephen King's It came out, the book, which is like 1,200 pages. So I would like go in I would work, and I would go to movies, and I would party a lot, and I had fun. But really, deep down inside, I missed this girl, and reading Stephen King's It gave me solace. So I sold Laserdiscs. I read Stephen King. I partied. I was in college, but I was having a good time.
All right, let's move on here. Next up is Jack Wallace, who writes, the best teacher in the world is somebody who loves what they do and loves it in front of you. Mr. Rogers, thank you for being my teachers. Mr. Campea, well, thank you so much for that, Jack. I appreciate that. It's always nice when somebody wants to write and say something sweet like that. And hey, it's just cool that we get to be fans here every day with you guys. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate that, Jack, very much. Miles McMullen writes, hope you're having a great day. I'm on season 2 of Lucifer and loving it. What are some shows you recommend watching? Yeah, and I love Lucifer. Now, look, I don't watch a ton of TV. I don't watch as much as some others, but I am a big Supernatural guy. Like, I'm thinking of shows that are still on right now. Supernatural, you got 15 seasons. You can go back and go through. That's one I really like. There's a lot of Netflix stuff, obviously, but I guess the one, if you're watching Lucifer, I would suggest Supernatural. I'm a big fan of Supernatural. Rob, if you're going to throw out one there right now that somebody might want to go and check out that maybe they're still running, what would you tell people to go watch?
You mean an ongoing show, not like something new?
It could be new. It could be ongoing and still maybe in its 5th season or 6th season, whatever. It's something that's on right now.
I would go back to Dark. I really think Dark is extraordinary. But I haven't seen the 3rd season yet. So I'm waiting to see the end of it.
I still haven't gotten past episode 1. So you're so way ahead of me.
We got, if you haven't seen The Boys, you got to see The Boys.
Yeah, The Boys,
you just got,
Doom Patrol.
I keep thinking new shows going back but I'll tell you, you want to hear something crazy? I've been watching Star Trek The Next Generation again with Elizabeth. And I just forget, how good it is, how enjoyable it is to watch something like that, where 45 minutes, you get a great story, beginning, middle, and an end. You're not binging. You learn something, you feel something, and go back and watch some classic Star Trek.
But good reminder, Rob. 3 of the best shows on TV right now: Doom Patrol, The Umbrella Academy, and The Boys. You can't go wrong with watching any of those. All right, Nicholas Pereira writes, loved this Batman teaser. This spooky goth but nevertheless credible vibe is great. Same for the detective direction. But please, for the love of God, I need a glimpse of fantastical elements in the movie. I don't need to see the Nolan realism 2.0. I got it. All due respect, Nicholas, I completely disagree. Every single comic book movie out there has magic and superpowers, blah, blah, and I love them. I eat them up. But one of the things about Batman, that's just one of the things that makes him so unique and so different. And with every other comic book movie doing that, I love that you can get a Batman that gets back down to that. I don't think for 1 second that we're going to see Matt Reeves put in magic or superpowers or anything like that in this Batman movie. I think this is going to be a true gritty detective Batman movie. I don't want the fantastical stuff in this. We get that in every other single comic book movie. I'm down with it. Now, that doesn't mean I don't think he should never get into it later on if they get into movie 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever. But this is exactly what I personally want from this one. Rob, what are your thoughts on the idea of bringing like the supernatural, the meta into this Batman?
I don't think so. You know, I mean, if you're bringing supernatural things, or you're going to bring characters like Man-Bat or something like that, I think you're crossing a line. And I think that's something that you have to do from the get-go. You know, it's got to be something that it's the same thing with like the MCU. I'm really curious to see how they're going to bring Blade into the MCU. Once you have vampires, once you have the supernatural, you know, they've done a great job of layering things. First, I was like, how is Iron Man going to be with Thor? And then they could be with Thor. You know, you've got the gods of Asgard hanging out with Iron Man and Captain America. That was something that was hard to do. But to bring the supernatural into something like Batman, that's tough, man. That's a hard thing, because you're asking, it's a whole nother layer of suspension of disbelief. And I think that's hard to do.
All right, let's move on here. Next up is Jonah writes, I came across a short YouTube video called Batman Returns Goof, about 20 seconds long, and it's a shot of Keaton's Batman with his eye makeup on, then a quick shot of Catwoman, then back to Batman before he takes his mask off, and no eye makeup. Funny. I mean, I get a kick out of those things. Like there's this great one with Raiders of the Lost Ark near the end when they're on the Nazi island, and what was the French dude's name? His nemesis, Belloc. Belloc is saying, go ahead, indeed, blow it up. And there's a fly. You see, if you watch the movie, there's a fly on his face and crawls into his mouth. And the actor never broke. One of the most incredible things. Or even like in the new Hamilton on Disney Plus, there's a shot of, I can't remember which sister it is, singing, and she's got this necklace on. Then the camera cuts to another angle and the necklace is gone. I mean, I get a big kick out of I don't know why, but when you, or if you even just look recently, Rob, at like Game of Thrones, where the coffee cup, the Starbucks coffee cup was in the shot, right? Like when you consider how many hundreds of thousands of moving pieces there are, I'm not surprised that these little things happen. I'm surprised they don't happen 10 times more than they do. But I get a kick out of these little things. I really do. I've never seen this. Have you seen this video, Rob? The one he's talking about the Batman makeup being there and being gone? But it sounds great. I mean, it makes sense. That's why I like Rob, that Rob Pattinson's got the eye makeup on. All right, next up. Loyal Brave True writes, so it looks like Husavik, my hometown, which is, of course, from, what's the name of the Netflix film with Will Ferrell? Eurovision. It's from Eurovision.
Yeah.
Has competition at the Oscars for Best Song. Just watched Christina Aguilera's Loyal, Brave, True official music video. The song and video are just beautiful. I'm not even the biggest fan. It got me hyped more. I don't know what that's from, what Loyal, Brave, True is from. I haven't seen it or heard it yet. But I will put it on my radar, though, Loyal, Brave, True. Thank you for putting it on my radar. I will go and check that out. Thank you for that, my friend. All right, next up. The Journeyator writes, hey, John, because Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton are going to be in the Flash movie, they should also have Christian Bale return. No, they shouldn't. But instead of Batman, they should have him play a multiverse Joker. I think he is one of the Batman. I think he is the one Batman actor who could pull it off. I'm going to disagree with you on that, because number one, now you're changing the movie just to facilitate a gimmick, right? If you know the Flashpoint story, them having in Ben and them having in Michael, it makes sense if you understand that story. But to go even further, like this whole thing about let's get in Christian Bale too. Hey, listen, Rob, it ain't impossible that they could try to do that. I doubt Christian Bale would do it. It's not impossible they could try to do it, but I think it's a bad idea, because now you're like, oh, now let's just do things in the movie for the sake of bringing in and putting this particular actor in. Right? They were going to do, I'm telling you right now, they were going to do Ben Affleck's Batman if for whatever reason, and Rob, you and I may disagree about this, if for whatever reason Ben said, I'm not interested. I'm not going to do it. I am telling you, they would have had that character there. They may not have tried to pretend it's the same Batman that Ben played or whatever, but they would have had that character because the actors are there to serve the characters and the characters are there to serve the story, not the other way around. I mean, we'll never know because thankfully, Ben is coming back. But I don't know, Rob, what do you think of the idea of bringing in Christian Bale to play a different universe's Joker, which I don't think there's any way they even would want to put Joker in this thing. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a little weird. People would be like, oh, wait, what? You know, because then you would have to establish how did Christian. I mean, if you wanted to play the thing like in a certain universe instead of becoming that. I mean, would Christian Bale have never been Bruce Wayne? Like, it would be interesting to see Bruce Wayne going down a different path when his parents were not killed and he was a child of privilege and he became a total sociopath like Patrick Bateman in American Psycho or something because he lived in this rarefied air of riches and he became a crazy serial killing, murdering punk like the Joker. That would be interesting. But then you'd have to show his entire backstory about how he didn't become Bruce Wayne that we know and love. It would just be too... I think it would just be too. It would throw the audience. It'd be off-putting. So
kind of a twisted, the Batman who laughs kind of storyline in a way to try to make that
something
in there?
Like that. Yeah, I mean, but
not for Flashpoint. Not for Flashpoint. All right. No. Anyway, we got time for one more question. While Rob has got an early engagement he's got to go to, but let's see if we can get one more in here. Butt Dog writes, sends in $20. Thank you, Butt Dog, for supporting the channel on that level, man. Thanks, John. Talking and reading about film really helps me rejuvenate, and your show has frequently helped me wind down. I love that your show is both informative and entertaining and can also be enjoyed by people of all ages and educational levels. Oh, thank you so much, man. I mean, listen, all we try to do here is just become a bunch of fans gathered around a virtual water cooler and just talking about the things we love. And we try to make it a little bit informative. We try to give our spin on things. We try to do it in an interesting way. And I mean, quite often the comments that you guys send in actually educate us, which is always great. And so thank you, Butt Dog, for being here and being a part of the community. And thank you so much for supporting the channel, man. I really appreciate it. All right, let's try to get a question in here with Rob before we let him go. Preston the Kryptonian writes, hey, John, that Batman trailer got me amped, even more so than the Snyder Cut trailer. I know you've been getting a lot of Batman-related questions, but in Dark Knight Rises, how come the Joker is never mentioned? Was it just to honor Heath or for the plot? This would be my answer to this, Rob, and I'd be curious to hear yours. My answer to that would simply be this. 2 years ago, I probably did something with somebody that you've never heard me talk about. I mean, I guess the thing is, the question isn't why didn't they mention Joker? I guess the question would be, why would they have mentioned Joker? You know, it wasn't a part of the movie. You don't talk every day about somebody you had lunch with 3 months ago, right? It's just, I just don't see there being any reason why they would have mentioned Joker. There could have been an element in there of wanting to honor Heath. Sure. Christopher Nolan may have done things differently with that movie had Heath not died. That there's a lot of those possibilities, but at the end of the day, like, it's the next movie in the franchise. You don't have to talk about particular characters that were in the previous, especially when you understand that Dark Knight Rises takes place years after the events of Dark Knight.
8 years or something.
Yeah, so much time. So, Rob, how would you answer that question?
Well, it's the same thing. It's just like that was ancient history when we see Dark Knight Rises. There's so much more going on. The Joker was a case that was open and shut and done. You know, and while it was the case that might have disgraced Batman, it was just something that was going on and they've moved on. Things have happened. I mean, how often do you think back about something that happened 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years ago that you talk about? Like you said, 2 years ago, you don't talk about every single thing that happened to you, even big events.
Now, Rob, we've heard that Christopher Nolan say before that he's never gone into detail at all, like even remotely, but he has suggested that, yeah, he would have done something differently if Heath hadn't passed away. We're just guessing. We're just playing fan speculation here, but how do you think maybe Dark Knight Rises or whatever that third movie would have been might have been different had we not lost Heath Ledger?
I think it would have had like a Silence of the Lambs component to it. If the Joker was indeed apprehended then he would have been somebody that I think him and Batman would have had a relationship, maybe not like Clarice Starling, not like mentor and student, but some kind of antagonistic thing. And he would have had the Joker would have been pulling the strings somehow, or he would have maybe the Joker after Bane, Joker would have escaped. And instead of the Scarecrow taking over, it would have been Joker and Bane running Gotham in tandem. I think it would have been really interesting.
All right. Well, in the meantime, Rob, I know you've got an early appointment today, so you got to take off. But until we see you again next time, Rob, where can people follow you and your adventures online?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Robert Meyer Burnett. Find me on Twitter at BurnettRM, or as always, find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work.
All right, dude. Thanks a lot for being here, and I will talk to you again later, my friend.
All right, sir. Have a good one.
You too. All right, guys. We still have just a little under an hour to get through all the remaining questions that we've got, so let's keep things right on rolling. Cam Oyemi writes, hey, John, in case anybody missed it, Cobra Kai launches on Netflix this Friday. I'm excited because I love the show, but I'm also scared because nostalgia shows can often be hit or miss with audiences. Do you think Cobra Kai has any shot of hitting Netflix's top 10? Well, I mean, remember, Cobra Kai's been out forever. You could have watched it forever on YouTube. I mean, it was on YouTube. It's been out for a few seasons. It's now on Netflix. They moved it over there, and I believe they've got a new season coming. I'll be honest with you. I'm one of the few people I know that actually didn't like Cobra Kai. I was very excited for it. For those of you who've watched me long enough, you remember in the build-up to Cobra Kai, I was actually really excited to watch it. And when it came out, I watched like the first 3 or 4 episodes with Ann and Corey. And Ann and Kaori, they both loved it. But I'm like, And I ditched on it. I ditched on it after 3 or 4 episodes. I just couldn't take it anymore. I thought it was quite bad, to be honest with you. That's just me. But the majority of people who watched it seemed to really enjoy it, including my wife, right? So I wouldn't worry about the nostalgia thing. I think most of the audience, I think it's fair to say most of the audience has enjoyed it. And if you're looking forward to it, I can't guarantee you'll enjoy it. Maybe you'll be like me and it doesn't work for you. But I think it's probably pretty safe you'll have a good time because most of the people who watch it seem to like it. Hence, it got multiple seasons and Netflix picked it up. So I think you're probably in good shape. And I do hope you enjoy it, even though, honestly, I didn't. But whatever. All right. Abdul Al-Ghatten writes, hey, John, is it strange to you that we haven't seen any marketing for season 2 of The Mandalorian? We haven't even seen a poster. I'm not somebody who demands a trailer a year in advance, but since it's 2 months away, it feels odd. What are your thoughts? I think you got to remember something. And I get why, because of the nature of the show, but I think something that all of us forget sometimes, including this guy, is that this isn't a movie. It's a television show. It's a TV show. It's not a movie. Do TV shows 2-3 months before they come out launch posters and blah? Not normally. No. We all know The Mandalorian's coming. And by the way, I do expect we're going to start getting some commercials for Mandalorian very soon. Very soon. Don't worry, it's coming. But again, it's different for TV shows and ultimately Mandalorian, while unique, it is Disney Plus, but ultimately it's a TV show. So no, I do expect a trailer very soon, or a commercial very soon. But am I like, is it off-putting to me or concerning to me? No, it's a TV show, man. It functions differently. So now if this was a new Star Wars movie and it was debuting in 2 months and we haven't got a poster or trailers, yeah, I'd be kind of like, what's going on here? TV show? No, not worried about it. Doesn't bother me. Not weird at all. It's just that I sometimes have to readjust my own, brain pattern to realize and remember, John, we're not talking about a movie. We're talking about a TV show, and they handle things a little bit differently. All right. Shadow Jester writes, hey, John and Rob, it's 2025, and Robert Downey Jr. is coming back for one film as Tony, but not as we've known him. Would you rather see him back as an AI for Riri Williams / Legacy Iron Man, or as an evil / Access Tony from another dimension via multiverse shenanigans? I'll be honest with you. I don't like either option. I'll be honest with you. I do not like either option. If I had to pick one, I guess I would go with the evil Mr. Spock. An alternate dimension, mirror universe, evil Mr. Spock kind of Tony. Again, I don't love either of the options, but if I had to pick one, Shadow, that's the one I'm going to go with. All right, next up, Lunch Lady writes, hello, JC and Robbie. Question for Rob, who unfortunately you just missed. Did you hear about the upcoming The Sandman / Lock and Key crossover series? Any thoughts on it? # Lunch Lady. I don't know anything about that. It might be a comic series, book series, television. I don't know. But I know Rob has just finished listening to the Sandman audio presentation that a couple of other people have been talking about, and he loved it. Like, he loved it. He's just been, he texts me about it. He, like, when he and I are talking off the show, he's like, oh, John, you got to check this out. So I know he totally loves that. But I don't know if he's clued in on this Lock and Key thing. So I will ask him about it, though. I will ask him about it. All right. Go Tigers writes, I just wanted to thank you. I'm driving around town getting last-minute hurricane supplies. Oh, you're down by the Gulf, I'm guessing. Driving around town, listening to your podcast makes it a lot easier. Have a great one. Well, thank you so much for that, man. And to everybody who's down there in the path of the storm, please take real good care of yourselves. Take care of the people around you, and bunker down. And all of our best thoughts as you guys bunker down to get ready to weather that. And it is my honor and privilege to be there with you as you're doing it. So thanks for that, man. I really appreciate that. All right. Next up, Mischievous Gremlin writes, John, I didn't think the CW would sink any lower. Now there is word of them doing a live-action Powerpuff Girls movie. I've heard about this. Don't get me wrong, the first Powerpuff Girls cartoon was good back in the day, but to do it as a live action, I don't think will work. Here's the thing, though. And I don't disagree with you. I'm not saying I disagree with you. But I never thought a Lego movie? The plastic building blocks? Really? That's dumb. Pirates of the Caribbean, the movie? On that little slow-moving Disneyland ride? You're going to do a movie about that? That's idiotic. What I have learned over the years, and this is where Felipe the Sentient Dancing Microphone comes from. You can take any starting premise. Don't get me wrong. There are better starting premises and worse starting premises. But if you take any premise, if you write the right story, and if you get the right director, and you have the right idea, it's all about execution. You can take something as stupid as the idea of taking a slow-moving Disneyland ride and turning it into a feature film and make it epic. You can take something as stupid as an idea of little square plastic building blocks. You're going to make a movie out of that? Really? You can do that and make something epic. Look how great that turned out. So while I agree, on the scale of better ideas to not so good ideas, I think the Powerpuff Girl is down near the bottom of the scale. But what we have learned is, let's not write off the idea yet, because who knows what they'll make it out to be, right? Hell, look at Clue. They made a movie out of the board game Clue, and it is beloved by generations. So I agree, lower on the scale of good ideas, but we've seen crazier things, right? So let's see what happens there. All right, next up. Tom writes, with 4 weeks a month being the minimum for an HBO Max subscription, what is the benefit to them releasing the Snyder Cut in 4 weekly episodes? It's not about subscriptions. It's not about subscriptions. It's about marketing for HBO Max. And here's the thing. We've talked about this on the show before. It has been numerically proven that networks that release their episodes one at a time have much longer lasting buzz than, say, networks like Netflix that drops their entire season all at once. Now, we as fans, and we're all bingers now, including me, we kind of like it when they drop the whole show at once. Hell, I just ripped through the first 8 episodes of the new season of Lucifer in a day and a half. But the reality is this. It has been proved that when you release 1 week at a time, you have much longer sustained public discussion, social media buzz, and overall pop cultural buzz than shows that drop at once. Because here's the thing. When Punisher dropped, I'll never forget this. When Punisher dropped on Netflix, everybody talked about it for 72 hours. And then, poof, it was gone. Nobody was talking about it anymore. We all loved it. Everybody binged it. And then, poof, it was gone. Same thing, I remember when Stranger Things Season 3 came out. Everybody's excited. Everybody's buzzing. Came out. It was a great season. Everybody talked about it for like 4 days. And then, poof, nobody was talking about it anymore. We'd all seen it. We've already talked about it for days, and it's done. And now we moved on and talked about the next thing. Mandalorian, on the other hand, what'd they do with Mandalorian? They put out 1 episode a week. And they doubled up once or twice, but for generally speaking, they put out 1 episode a week. And people talked about and buzzed about and got excited about and clamored about and everything for months about Mandalorian. Mandalorian was dominating social media discussion, all that kind of stuff for months because they were putting out 1 episode a week. If what you're trying to do with Zack Snyder's Justice League is to create buzz and get attention on HBO Max and getting it to be the center of the conversation, you are going to get way more bang for your buck by releasing over the course of a month, 1 episode at a time. It may not be the way we all want to watch it. I mean, we would all probably prefer to just drop it all at once. We can just watch it all at once. But HBO Max is going to get a lot more buzz. They're going to get a lot more social media shares. They're going to get a lot more online discussion. They're going to get 4 times as much than if they just dropped it all at once. And again, it's not an opinion. It's been studies have shown that's just the facts. That's the truth. And so I think it is quite frankly a brilliant idea. Listen, if you think like that Zach shot enough stuff that you can stretch this thing into 4 hours and you can make it a legit miniseries and break it into 4 episodes, hell, they could have broken it into 8 half-hour episodes. Let's just be glad they didn't do that. Let's just be glad they didn't break it into 8 half-hour episodes. But then breaking into 4 episodes to exponentially grow the benefits that you as HBO Max are going to get out of this thing, it's brilliant. Again, I would, like many of you, I would prefer to just have the drop and watch it all right at once. Yes, I would too. But if you're HBO Max, the absolute smartest thing to do is to put out 1 episode and everybody's talking about it. And then instead of it going poof and disappearing, 1 week later, a new episode drops and everybody's talking and buzzing about it again. And then instead of poof, it just disappearing, 1 week later, they drop another episode and everybody's talking about it again. There are so many people I know who got on board with shows, not because of the pre-show buzz, but because by week 3, 4, or 5, it's like, okay, I've been hearing everybody talk about this for a month now. Everybody's saying how amazing it is. Okay, I'm going to go and hop on board with it. That's the kind of stuff that HBO Max wants to get out of this. And while it may not be what we have chosen, it is the smart move. It is a smart move. So anyway, that's kind of my take on that, Tom. Okay. Let's see. Where are we at here? Chewbacca writes, hey guys, I've seen people say we should be spending the $30+ or 35 Canadian, to see Mulan on Disney Plus in order to support big budget female led diverse movies. I want to support, but can't spend that kind of money in a pandemic. How else can we help? Just watch the movie later. Like what I think a lot of people are going to do with Mulan. Listen, there are going to be, because it's Mulan, it's a big, high profile project. I'm excited about Mulan. I have been from the day that they announced it. But there are going to be a lot of people who feel like me, but also don't feel the need to spend 30, 40, whatever number of dollars on it. When if they just wait for X number of weeks, it's just going to be on Disney Plus for them anyway. Right? the best way, if you don't want to drop the $30 to support it, is just, well, watch it when it comes out on Disney Plus for you, right? Because even if you don't spend the $30, $40, you only got to wait a certain amount of time before it's just going to be on Disney Plus for you again anyway. So I'd say just make sure you watch it. Make sure you watch it, talk about it if you enjoyed it, and that's really the best way to support it. That would be my guess, Chewbacca. All right, thanks. And I am looking forward to seeing Mulan. I've been excited about it since the day of the announcement. I think the trailers will look really good. So we'll see how that all sort of turns out. Tony Rodriguez writes, okay, your tech question. Here we go, tech questions. I think I remember you mentioning that HBO Max Go won't work using HDMI. There was a story about that. Some tech articles came out that said they were specifically blocking HDMI use on certain devices for HBO Max, which was stupid for them to do, but it is what they did. It works on my game room 65-inch TV in TV app, but not on my Android box with HDMI in my living room. It plays, but with no sound. Is this what you meant? It probably sounds like what they were talking. Remember, I'm not the one who dug this up. We talked about the articles that were out there discussing it, but that does sound consistent. There were some devices like Apple TVs go over HDMI, and therefore they allowed the code for HDMI to work on Apple TVs and things like that. But yeah, for a lot of devices, it won't let you plug an HDMI into something else that will play HBO Max and then play it on your TV. And they specifically built in code to block that from happening. We've heard some reports of people it working in some situations and not working in others. I have not signed up for HBO Max, so I am not clued in on what works and what doesn't myself, but those are the reports we've been saying. So what you're expressing here, Tony, does sound consistent with the reports that we were seeing. If you find out anything else, do please let me know. All right. King Beltran 7 writes, hey, John and Rob, I heard a rumor on the John Campea Show that the new Bond film will come out on pay-per-view. I don't think so. What are your thoughts? Keep up the great work. Here's the thing. I don't think that's going to happen, but we are living in unprecedented times. If for whatever reason the pandemic stretches out, if New Mutants comes out and makes nothing, if Tenet comes out and makes nothing, and the pandemic gets worse, and well, guess what? What was impossible, the idea of them putting a Bond film out on pay-per-view, that's impossible. What was impossible becomes possible. Right now, I would say I highly doubt that would happen. I highly doubt it. But as circumstances change, and we'll see how they change over the next couple of weeks and months, as circumstances change, our evaluation may have to change. So as of right now, I don't buy it, but let's see how our world evolves in the next few weeks, because we may have to look at it a little bit differently then. All right. Nippo Brazilian writes, hey, JC, Brazilian fan here. I got to go down to Brazil's Comic-Con sometime, man. That just looks more and more insane. I live in the U.S. and have been trying to understand this cultural appropriation thing. As a half Japanese, should we also be bothered by whitewashed manga movies and Power Rangers, Samurai something, hashtag Team Godzilla, Rob, Team Kong all the way? Listen, I'm not going to lie. I don't really understand this relatively recent thing of cultural appropriation. I don't really understand it myself. Listen, I haven't given this a lot of thought, and I may think something completely different in 3 or 4 years. Please don't hold my opinion against me on this. I'm just being honest with you. This is where my thought process is. Like, when I was a kid, my favorite thing in the world was ninjas. I would dress up as a ninja all the time. Would I be guilty of cultural appropriation doing that today? I don't know. Here's where the first time I ever confronted this. This was the first time I ever heard the term cultural appropriation, and it was and I had no idea what was going on. It was when I was going to go to the world premiere of Black Panther. I was so excited for Black Panther. I love Chadwick Boseman, love the director, love the whole cast. The trailers looked awesome. I was looking forward to celebrating me some Black Panther. Now, you guys have seen then when I've gone to certain events that weren't supposed to be suit and tie sort of things, I've got a certain event, I've dressed up a bit. Like I put on my big Chewbacca thing when I went to the Rogue One, and not Rogue One, the Solo world premiere. I put on the Chewbacca thing, and I wore my Avengers Endgame thing when I went to the premiere for Avengers Endgame, and I wore my Captain Marvel thing when I went to see Captain Marvel. And yeah, I like to do that sometimes. And I found online this outfit that looked like one of the royal things that T'Challa wore in one of the trailers. It looked awesome. And I wanted to celebrate Black Panther. I wanted to celebrate Black Panther, and I was going to order that and wear that because they were encouraging, if you want to dress up a little bit at this premiere. So I was going to get it, and I was going to order it, and I was showing it to a couple of friends of mine. And they were like, whoa, John, you can't do that. I'm like, well, why? Because that's cultural appropriation. I've never really heard the term in that context before. Like, what do you mean? It's like, dude, that's an African thing. It's not African thing. It's a comic book thing. It's not like, it's Wakanda's not a real place. Yeah. But it's supposed to be an African thing, and you can't wear a costume like that if it's cultural appropriation. I'm like, I don't get it. Like a buddy of mine, like this black friend of mine, dresses up as Captain America like every year. And that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. That's great. I've got an Asian friend dressed up as Wonder Woman. Nothing wrong with that. That's great. And I was like, really? I'm a fan, and I just want to kind of celebrate Black Panther, but I can't wear this robe thing. And again, I'm saying that, expressing the fact that I just don't get it yet. Like I'm just being honest. I'm being open. I'm an open book here right now. I don't understand it. And maybe if somebody who really did get it sat down and really explained it to me, maybe I would feel differently about it. But I got to admit, I am kind of in a place right now where I don't fully get what the issue is with, if you're a fan of something, you want to celebrate that thing, but you're precluded from celebrating that thing because of a race. I mean, hell, I dressed up in my Harley Quinn costume. Nobody was worried that I was gender appropriating. But again, like I said, if somebody who really has a handle on this actually sat down and really explained it out to me, why it's a sensitive issue for some people, whatever, maybe I would think differently. I'm open to that. I am. But I got to admit, where I'm at right now, I don't really get it. But that's just me. There's a lot of things in life I don't get. Doesn't mean they're not right. I just don't get it, So that's me. Anyway, let's move on here. Mars writes, 1, regarding fandom, I'm an events director, and industry-wide for the past year, everyone has been moving towards hybrid events, which are in person, but complimentary live online content is also provided. This is something that is being led by exhibitors and conferencers. It will become industry practice for us. Just wanted to shed a little light and insight on that. I know for a fact that San Diego Comic-Con, it's been discussed. And this is, so what happened? First of all, Mars, thank you for writing that in. So we talked on the show the other day about what will happen with DC fandom now. Will they do it again next year? Will this be an ongoing thing? Was it just for the pandemic? Will it change? And what I suggested, and I have no insider information at all, I'm just guessing, I'm just speculating. What I suggested was, I think there will be DC fandom again, but I think it will be a hybrid. I think it'll be something that is actually a live, physical, in-person event that also incorporates the ability for people to participate around the world online. I think it'll be both. Because like at DC fandom, when they showed clips of Brazil Comic-Con when Wonder Woman did their panel there, dude, that is like, I don't care how good you think DC fandom was. And hey, it was really good. Way better than what Comic-Con did with their Comic-Con at home. They did a really good job. But being there in person is always better. The excitement is bigger. The energy is bigger. The buzz is bigger. It's always better. But I think if DC can figure out a way to say, like, next year or in 2 years, whatever, take over the Miami Convention Center. And they make it up to look like a big dome. That's the fan dome. And you do it actually in person with thousands of screaming fans, but you also make it so that people around the world can also be there. Like, for those of us who know being there live is 10 times more fun. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people will go down there and be there, but you also make it available for people around the world and have an online component at the same time. I think that's the best of both worlds. And that's what I am speculating that DC fandom will do. I think they will continue on, and I think it will become exactly what you're saying there, Mars. I think it'll be a hybrid event. And so to hear you, who works in this as an events director, who works in this world, to hear you kind of say that is the way things are going, it just really affirms for me that's what I think they'll do. That's what I think they'll do. And it is what Comic-Con needs to do as well. Embrace the best of both worlds. Get the benefits of being the online thing, but also get all the benefits of being a live in-person thing. Put all that together. I think that's what the winning combination is, but we'll see. All right. Manny E writes, will there be a moment where we see you upload your personal movie trailer reactions for us to see? Like me doing trailer reaction videos? Probably not. I tried doing trailer reactions, but I am not the right person to do trailer reactions, because even when I'm super excited watching a trailer, like, there are people who watch trailers and they're naturally very expressive, right? Like, whoa, wow, oh my God. And, something happens in a trailer, but that's not me. I may be feeling that way inside, but I don't do it outside. And so I've done a couple of trailer reactions, but I've always felt so self-aware, because in my head, I'm like, oh, I should be saying or doing something. But then I'm like, no, that's not what I would normally do. Like, at most I'd be like, ooh, that's interesting that they did that. Or, oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, but that's me. But that doesn't make for a fun trailer reaction video. Not like the Day One guys, the Struggle Nation, not like the Real Rejects, not like a bunch of other people who like do it really, really well. It's just, I'm not well suited to do trailer reactions. So no, you probably won't see me putting up any of me doing trailer reactions. Probably won't see that, Manny. All right, James Argento writes, the Flash showrunner just confirmed Elongated Man will be recast. I have not heard this. Is this true? Will be recast, then get written off the show, while Sue will have a recurring role in season 7. I don't know who Sue is. Also, over under 40% that we will get Mandalorian season 2 trailer, since this weekend would have been Celebration 2020. I will say over 40%. I will say it's a pretty safe over 40%. That's my guess. That's a pretty safe over 40% on that, James. And that's interesting about Flash. I haven't heard that myself. I'll go look that up. So they're going to recast him just so they can write him off. Interesting approach. I'll have to see. I'll have to look into that and read up on that myself. Thank you for the information, James. I appreciate that. Willow writes, it's a little hard to believe, but New Mutant seems to be finally releasing this week. I know. I'm going to go see it tomorrow. Me and my buddy Soul are going to go see it. Rob had to back out, unfortunately. So me and my buddy Soul are going to go watch it tomorrow. Have a fun road trip. Hopefully the movie isn't actually cursed and the theater you go to doesn't fall into a sinkhole or something while playing it. Here's the thing. So my buddy Soul, who was like the chief guy over at the Fine Brothers for so many years, he and I were talking about he's going to go with me. He goes, oh, but man, because we're going to take a 3.5, 4 hour drive to go out to watch it tomorrow. I said, man, if we get there and it's closed, I'm going to laugh so hard. And I said, oh, I'll be doing something, but I don't know if laughing is what I'm going to be doing. Like, if we do like a 3.5 hour drive, 4 hour drive out to Las Vegas tomorrow so I can go to this stupid movie theater and watch this movie, and we get there and they made the last second decision to close the place, oh my God, laughing is not the reaction I'm going to have. I mean, don't get me wrong. If they have some kind of COVID spike at that theater and they decide, hey, for public safety, we're going to shut it down, I'll appreciate that, no doubt. I'll just would have wished I had heard about it before making a 3.5 and 4 hour drive. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, Willow. But no, I am looking forward to seeing this movie tomorrow. All right, an anonymous viewer writes, do you think we will get more insight about what happened to Robin in Justice League? I don't think much, but I believe I've heard Snyder at least imply that we would get at least a little bit. So I don't know for sure, but my guess, Anonymous, is that there'll be something. I think there'll be something that alludes a little bit more to the fate of Robin. I don't think it's going to be a major thing. I don't think there's going to be a lot given to it. Do I think there's going to be something? I do think there's going to be something. I don't know that for sure, but I think there's going to be something. All right, Chris Daniels writes, I've always been interested in the making of movies. With a movie like The Batman, what is the longest part of post-production? I understand CGI takes a long time, but it doesn't seem like The Batman will be using a lot of CGI. Keep up the good work. I guarantee you there's a lot of CGI. Even if maybe not things for like a fully CGI characters, but there's going to be a lot of CGI. The post-production is huge thing. The pure editing isn't actually that long of a process in the grand scheme of things. It is visual effects work. The digital visual effects work that has to happen later is by far the longest part of post-production. ADR can be done relatively quickly. The edit can be done relatively quickly. Music composition starts even while the movie's being shot. Like, there's a lot of different moving pieces that go into post-production, but quite often all these moving pieces are happening simultaneously. The CGI and visual effects, there will be a lot in this movie. It'll probably be, and a lot of it will probably be even things you don't even recognize are visual effects. There's probably going to be a lot of visual effects on screen that we won't even realize are visual effects that we're looking at. But that is by far. But remember, the big holdup for Batman isn't the post-production. It's that they only got 25% done shooting the movie. They still have months of shooting to do, and they don't start that back up again until September. So hopefully they'll be able to get back on schedule here fairly quickly. All right, Division's Pack writes, after watching Prisoners, such a good Denis Villeneuve film, There Will Be Blood, also with Paul Dano, and 12 Years a Slave, Paul Dano is going to kill it as the Riddler, and also he's obviously going to get beat up and squeal in the perfect Paul Dano fashion. Listen, I've been telling you guys for a long time that Paul Dano, if it wasn't, we would all be talking so much about Paul Dano on a day-to-day basis if it wasn't for the fact, because of his performance in There Will Be Blood, if it wasn't for the fact that Daniel Day-Lewis, the greatest of all time, gave what I would argue is the greatest single performance by any actor in any movie ever. I honestly think that. I don't think There Will Be Blood is the greatest movie of all time, but I think the performance of Daniel Day-Lewis in that movie is arguably the greatest performance we've seen from an actor in a live action film ever. And that overshadowed Paul Dano, who was so good in that movie. And then Rob and I were talking about that Beach Boys movie that he was in. And again, I'm forgetting the name of the movie again, but he is 100% legit, Paul Dano. And I said on yesterday's show, I'll say it again here. I think this movie, after this Batman movie, a lot more people are going to recognize Paul Dano for the talent that he is. And I think it's going to crack open his career. He's already had a great career, but it's going to crack open his popularity. I'm telling you guys. All right, Alan writes, hey, John and Rob, I love that the Batman trailer. I love the Batman trailer. Let's say Oscars get canceled, and that leads to an expanded nominees list. Do you think then the Batman could get nominated for major awards like Best Picture, Actor, Supporting Actor, Cinematography, etc.? Alan, we haven't seen the movie. Greenland, the Gerard Butler movie, could get nominated for major awards like Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Supporter, Best Cinematography. It could get nominated. We don't know. It could. Every movie coming out could get nominated for all those things. But until we see the movie, we can't really say. I mean, look, I love the trailer for the Batman. You guys know I lost my mind over it. I love that trailer. But let's be honest. We didn't actually see any acting in it. Not really. We hardly even heard any dialogue. The dialogue we did hear wasn't from a face that we actually saw. We don't know. Listen, Matt is going to make a great Batman movie. But for all we know, it could be a big bag of shite. Right? It could be horrible. This could be the next Gangster Squad. Gangster Squad was a movie I was convinced from the trailers was a Best Picture contender. This is going back 7 years. With Sean Penn and, Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone. Did I say Sean Penn? I did. I think Ryan Gosling was. Anyway, that movie had Best Picture written all over it, and it was garbage. We just don't know. For all we know, this Batman movie could be a big bag of shite. I don't think it's going to be. I'm just saying. So any movie coming out, Alan, any movie coming out could get nominated for major awards like Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Supporting. It all depends on does it merit getting those awards? We don't know. Until we see the movie, we have no idea. I will say this. The Batman trailer was awesome. There was nothing about the trailer that looked like an Oscar movie. But once we see the movie, we may think it deserves all the Oscars. But until we see the movie, we just can't say right now. All right. Thomas, a Patreon supporter, writes in, "Hey, John, long time, first time. I was at the 100 million view party last year. Oh, thanks so much. That was a lot of fun. I think we did that in December. I think we did the 100 million view party in December. Thank you so much for being at that, man. I really appreciate that. You, Rob, and Aaron always put on a great show. I look forward to it every day. Question: how are you able to put licensed images and content on your channel and episode imagery? Well, I mean, what it basically comes down to, like, how can I put images like this up on my show when this is clearly a copywritten image? Talking about Dune here. The reason I'm able to do that and why other people are able to do it as well is because of a piece of legal doctrine called fair use. There's legal doctrine called fair use that is very specific, that expresses ways that you can use. There are circumstances in which you can use copywritten material if your use of that copywritten material fits a very specific set of criteria. What I do here on the John Campea Show, and very specifically how I use them, and other people who do what I do, falls under that criteria. So now I'm not going to sit here and give a full exhaustive class on fair use because I'm not the guy to do it. But the best thing I would suggest to you, Thomas, is just to go up online and start doing some reading on fair use doctrine and see what fair use is and when it's allowed to be applied and when it's not allowed to be applied and all that kind of stuff. Matter of fact, like my documentary that I'm making right now is about movie trailers. My documentary and in my movie about movie trailers, I'm going to have movie trailers in it. Movie trailers are copywritten pieces of content, but I'm able to use them in my movie because my use with them within the terms of my documentary fall under the category of fair use. But again, there's a lot of misconceptions out there about fair use. People think, as long as I'm not making money on it, it's fair use. Nope, that's not true at all. There's a lot of misconceptions about fair use. I would say the best thing to do, Thomas, is go and read up online about fair use. But that's what you're looking for, fair use. Thank you for the question, and thank you for being a Patreon supporter, man. We really appreciate that, dude. All right. David Alping Linsgaard writes, "Hey, John and crew. My girlfriend asked me why some TV shows aren't showed in cinemas, like a limited series, for example, Sherlock, with 3 episodes per season, with a runtime of 1.5 hours. Is there a reason a show like that can't be shown in cinemas? Yeah, because the TV network made them. The TV network made it to put and paid for it to put on their network, not for people to go out to movie theaters to watch. Now, there are some examples of, like, say, Game of Thrones, I think more than once, did like a special event where they showed 1 or 2 episodes early in movie theaters. And I remember the Inhumans. Oh my God, remember how bad that was? They did that with Inhumans. I went and watched the pilot episode of Inhumans in the movie theater. But for the most part, yeah, the reason they don't get put in movie theaters is because the television networks paid for them so it could be on their television network. That's why. And once it's been on television, if you can watch it for free on TV, not a lot of people, some will, but not a lot of people are going to put up money to then go and watch it in the theaters, you know? So that's the main reason why, David. If I'm understanding your question correctly, that would be the main reason why. All right. Koa1708 writes, I get so annoyed at people who watch trailers, then complain that it showed me the entire movie. I mean, what are studios supposed to do? Just show the movie title and that's it? Well, there's a line though. Here's the thing, Koa. It's not like those are the only 2 options. Show absolutely nothing or give absolutely everything away. Like, those aren't the only two options. Let's say, for an example, there's a part of my documentary. I'm going to give you a little spoiler in my documentary. There's a part of my documentary that talks about trailers that give away too much. And what a number of the people we interviewed brought up was Batman versus Superman, right? Here's Batman versus Superman. And not the first Comic-Con trailer, but one of the later trailers gave away that Lex Luthor introduced Batman and Superman, that Wonder Woman appears in it, that at some point, even though the movie's called Batman versus Superman, it shows Batman and Superman standing side by side, getting ready to fight something else. It showed Doomsday. I mean, basically, the way one person described it is, it basically gave you the whole movie, and all that was left was for the movie to throw in little bits of plot. But basically, you had the outline of the entire movie in that trailer. Then you take something like Blade Runner 2049, a trailer that literally didn't let you know anything about the movie, right? And that's the reason why that movie lost money and why that movie flopped. Because it's a great movie, but the trailers didn't tell you anything about what the movie was about. And there are some people who go, I like it when the trailers don't tell me anything about the movie. Well, good for you, but that doesn't work for the vast majority of the audience. And Blade Runner 2049, great movie, all that kind of stuff. But the trailers didn't even suggest to the audience what this movie was about, and so people didn't go. But it's not just either of those two extremes, right? A good trailer is one that will tell you basically, here's what the movie's about. They'll tell you, here's what the story is, but they don't give away all the details of the plot. Here's the story, but don't give away all the details of the plot. So I get it. There are legitimately times that trailers like give away the whole movie. And then there are times that the trailers maybe look like they give too much away, but then you see the movie and you realize, oh, it actually didn't give the main things away. I mean, so that's right. I think the majority of the time, trailers don't give away the whole movie, but there are times that they do. But again, I would suggest that there is more than two options of either giving everything away or giving nothing away. There's a lot of gray in between there that I think that's where trailers should be. But I'll talk more about that in my documentary when it's done, if it's ever done, and if it doesn't suck. All right, Eddie Burton writes, read from two sources that Robert Downey Jr. Okay, I'm just going to stop you right there. No, you didn't. That's a story. The story you're talking about, Eddie, that originated from, anybody want to guess? Anybody in the live section want to guess where that story came from? This story that Robert Downey Jr. wants to put Johnny Depp in Sherlock Holmes 3. Anybody want points to you, Cal B. Cal B got it in the live chat. That's a story that came from We Got This Covered. Guys, never, ever, ever listen to anything in We Got This Covered. Never listen to a single thing. That is where it came from. And the other source was just quoting We Got This Covered. They were just talking about the We Got This Covered article. Never, ever, 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 ever take anything from We Got This Covered. If it came from comingsoon.net, if it came from Cinema Blend, if it came from Variety or The Hollywood Reporter or Deadline, if it came from any of those places, well, then we should pay attention. But never, ever, ever take a story that comes out of We Got This Covered. Like, never take it. They are just always wrong. Okay. Anyway, let's see. An anonymous viewer writes, in the words of Key and Peele, why would you mess with the Batman? Dude, you're just making me miss Key and Peele. And why would you mess with the Batman? Although, in his defense, in the trailer, the Thug's defense, remember, Batman had only been Batman for a year and a half. So maybe not everybody knew the reputation of the Bat yet, but why would you mess with Batman? Anonymous writes in, liked it so much, wrote it twice. In the words of Key and Peele, why would you mess with the Batman? Indeed. All right, Johnny5619 writes, I got my tickets to New Mutants at my Alamo here in Austin at 6 on Thursday. I cannot wait to be back to a big screen and to finally see this movie at Lakeline. And Mystery Men is amazing. Oh, I love Mystery Men. Mystery Men is amazing and makes me remember my mom said no to it and made my older brother take me to see it. I love it. And yeah, I'm going tomorrow. I'm seeing a 7 p.m. show in a Dolby Atmos theater to see New Mutants. 2 seats separated from anybody else with me and my buddy Soul. I'm very excited about it. I cannot wait. And yeah, Mystery Men, dude, Johnny, Mystery Men is like one of my all-time faves. I love Mystery Men. It was a movie 20 years before its time. You go back and like, you would appreciate even just how genius Mystery Men is today, because it was so far ahead of its time. You'd think it was a movie that was made today. It was so far ahead of its time. All right. Next up, Marjan van Larhoven writes, "Hey, John, sorry, not sorry to say, by the time this show goes live, I'll be 1 hour into my first Tenet IMAX screening here in the Netherlands. I'm a little bit jealous. Many seats are kept unused to maintain 1.5 meters of distance. When and where will you be seeing it?" I honestly right now don't yet have my tickets or plans to see Tenet yet. I'm starting, pardon me, I'm starting with New Mutants. Let's see how my New Mutants experience goes. If it goes as I expect, then I'm going to have a nice, easy drive out to Vegas, that we're going to get there. There's all the safety procedures in place. Everybody who's there is respecting the rules and following the rules, wearing masks, sanitizing their hands, maintaining social distance. If I have that good experience, then I will immediately be booking my tickets to see Tenet, to make the drive out to Las Vegas again. You guys think I'm joking when I tell you how much I love going to the movie theater. I ain't joking. I will make that 3.5, 4 hour drive to go see a movie. I will. However, if I get out there and I see half the people aren't wearing their masks, well, first of all, I'm not even going to go into the movie theater. If I see everybody's breaking the rules, I'm just not going to go into the theater. I'm going to get back in my car and I'm going to go home. But if I see people, not recognizing, not maintaining social distancing in the theater, the theater isn't enforcing the guidelines. If I get in there and see that, I'm not going to book a ticket for Tenet. I'll just wait as long as I have to wait. But hopefully my experience tomorrow will be fun. Hopefully everybody's going to be following the rules. And if it is and it's good, I'll book my ticket for Tenet right away. And I hope you enjoyed it, Marjan. I hope you had a great time. All right, Eli Kula writes, "Hey, John, hope you're doing well. I am doing well, thank you. Just started watching the show Chuck with Zachary Levi. I loved that show recently, and I love it. I'm not sure if you've ever mentioned it before. Oh, I have. Or if you've even watched it. Oh, I have. If you have your thoughts. What is, by the way, the girl who right now, the girl who is on Handmaid's Tale, she's like the second main character on the show. I always forget her name, who was the star of Chuck. Yvonne Strahovski, who is great. And also, give me 1 second here because I want to bring this up. Yes, I do love the show Chuck. I'm just going to see if I can find this picture. Give me a second here. I do love that show. I thought it was great. The final season was not their best, but whatever. I loved Yvonne on it. I thought... like I said, I thought Zachary Levi was great in it. Joshua Gomez, who plays Morgan, Gomez, who plays Morgan, Chuck's best friend in the show, actually ended up marrying a girl I know, actually a friend of Aaron and I. He actually ended up marrying this girl. I loved him in this show. And then I was all excited because I saw him pop up in an episode of Lucifer as well, which was totally cool to see. I really loved that show. And I did. I found that. Hold on a second. Let me bring this picture up. That's not the picture. This is the picture. Let me bring this picture up here. Okay. This is a very blurry picture because the camera was crap, but I do love this picture. Let me bring it up here. You guys remember I used to throw a party every year at Comic-Con. I was first part of a group that threw a party every year. Then I started throwing a party every year at Comic-Con, connected in with AMC and everything. And 1 year, the entire cast of Chuck came to the party. So there's me with, obviously the one person missing from this picture is Yvonne, but there's me and Zach and Gomez and all the other cast members from Chuck. That was a great night. It's a totally blurry picture, though. Totally blurry picture. Actually, it's not me or the cast of Chuck at all. No, it's real. This is a legit picture. That was a really, really fun night. That was a bonkers night. And I loved that show. I thought that show was great. And there have been whispers. There have been some whispers about a Chuck reunion. Nothing official. I'm not even 100% confident in the places I'm hearing it from. I'm just saying there have been some whispers about maybe a little bit of a Chuck reunion. All I can say is I would be totally down for that. All right. Let's see. A Silly Goose writes, ahem, in technical terms, holy shit, fuck, I got tickets for Interstellar on Friday. The theater I'm seeing it in is about a 90-minute drive away, but I'll drive across the universe to see the best movie ever made on the big screen. Silver linings, John. Hey, listen, we talk about silver linings in the midst of all the horrible stuff that's happened as a result of the pandemic. One of the little silver linings on the side is that there are some great movies that maybe we never would have had a chance to see on the big screen again, whether it's Empire Strikes Back, Back to the Future, or in the case of what's going on across the country right now, Interstellar. And I know a lot of people love that. Some people, it's their favorite Christopher Nolan film. Being able to go and see that again. And I hope you have a fabulous time, Silly Goose, going to watch it. All right, next up, we only got a few minutes left here. Max Zwack writes, wow, what a Lucifer season. No spoilers, but I cannot wait any longer for the new episodes. That ending was crazy. I'm not going to give any spoilers away either, but that ending was nuts. I love the ending of that. What were your favorite elements of the first half of season 5? Favorite elements? Well, first of all, I love the dynamics. I mean, all between the guys. Like, there's an episode, I won't give away into the plot, but there's an episode this season that was like my favorite episode of the season so far, in the first 8 episodes, where all the female characters in the show are off doing one thing at a nightclub, and all the guy characters are at home babysitting Metadil's son. And it's hilarious. It really emphasized the chemistry between the characters. To me, besides the character of Lucifer Morningstar himself, who is my favorite character on television right now, it's the chemistry of all the different characters on the show that I love. I just love the chemistry between the characters. And that episode, for those of you who've watched the season so far, where all the girls went to the nightclub, all the guys were at the house babysitting, I loved that episode. I laughed myself sick so many times, but to me, it's the chemistry of the characters, and they've really, really highlighted that this year quite a bit. I really did enjoy it. Let's see, where are we at? Alan Dale writes, I was shocked, I say, at the poll that you had. The Batman will never get an R rating or similar 15 rated in the UK. I don't know what your R rating is, but a 15R in the UK means no one under 15 is allowed in. The Dark Knight trilogy is a 12A, under 12 adult must accompany. In the United States, an R rating means if you are under 18, you can still get into the movie, but you must be accompanied by an adult. So you can come see it if you're 13 years old. It's just that you have to have somebody who's an adult coming with you. I agree. I do not believe... Listen, there are good arguments to be made about maybe this thing being R-rated, but I personally don't buy it. I personally don't think there's any chance this will be an R-rated, this Batman movie will be R-rated. I don't think there's any need for it to be R-rated. There was nothing about that trailer that was remotely rated R. But I mean, look, they did Joker, rated R, made them $1 billion, won them an Academy Award, got nominated for Best Picture. I mean, if you are somebody who thinks this Batman movie would be rated R, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. You could end up being right. Personally, I don't think so, but we'll have to see. All right, just a couple more here, guys, and we got to wrap it up here today. Cameron Nelson writes, hey, John, the new season of Lucifer is out, so I was very excited to see the new season, but to me, it was the weakest to me so far. Oh, I disagree. The crimes they solved mirror their own issues, was so in your face, not subtle at all. What did you think of the season? I thought the season was great so far, and we're only halfway through. Yeah, I gotta say, I was not disappointed. Personally, I was not disappointed in the least. Now, I don't know where I would rank. Now, remember, this is only half the season we've seen so far. I don't know where I would rank it with the seasons, but all I know is that I am I binged the whole thing in a day and a half. I salivated at it. I loved it by the time episode 8 was done. And I cannot wait for the second half of the season to come. So, hey man, it's all subjective. You watched it, didn't quite work for you as well. I respect that. I just got to tell you, for me, man, I loved it. All right. Preston the Kryptonian writes, R.I.P. Arnold Spielberg. I heard about this. An inventor, storyteller, and father of a legend. Yeah, Steven Spielberg's dad passed away at the age of 103. And very, very sorry to hear that. And our thoughts and well wishes, of course, to Steven Spielberg, friends and family and acquaintances. But yeah, it's truly, truly sad to hear about that. Thank you for mentioning that, Preston. All right, Alan Wade, and this will be our final question of the day, guys. Hey, John and Rob. Rob, who's not here right now, obviously. Do you think there is any chance that Tenet somehow ties into the world of Inception? Zero. I think that would be an amazing surprise if true. I think it would be cheap, gimmicky, and completely against the nature of Christopher Nolan. I don't think there's anything amazing about it. I think it would be laughable. I think it would be cheap and gimmicky. But that's just my opinion of it. Thanks, guys, and keep up the great work. P.S. I still want my Dune trailer this week. I suspect we are going to get a Dune trailer this week. I don't know, but I suspect we are, that within the next 7 days, I think we're going to get a Dune trailer. Okay. Listen, whenever you ask, is there any chance, or if you ever ask a question that has the word ever in it, the answer is always yes. Is there any chance? Yes. Could it ever happen? Yes. Is something that gimmicky something that Christopher Nolan would do? No, I don't think so at all. I think that's the type of gimmicky stuff I think others may do. I don't think Christopher Nolan would take one of the more beloved films. He's got like Inception and then throw in some wild shtick things like, ooh, it's actually shared cinematic universe with this other thing. I know we as movie fans are all completely shared cinematic universe obsessed right now. Christopher Nolan makes his movies as standalone world movies, you know? So any chance? Yes. But I will confess that I will be shocked if it is. Now watch. We go there, and people are watching it right now. It's like, actually, John, they do reveal it's part of Inception. That's why I say there's a chance. I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked if they do. I certainly don't think it's something they should do at all. Okay. Next up. Oh, I said that would be the last one. You know what? I do. We got to wrap it up here, guys. There's only a few questions left, but we're past our 2-hour time limit. But anyway, MNHB and Raymond Verada, don't worry, guys. The very next show, we will get to your questions first. There's only a few left. We will get to yours first, but unfortunately, because of the way YouTube works, I got to cut this thing at 2 hours. Anyway, guys, that will do it for today's episode of the John Campea Show. Guys, thank you so much for making this show part of your day. We're incredibly honored that you do. Thanks to Robert Meyer Burnett for being here and contributing his awesome insight. And a special thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions. Number one, because you give us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel while you did it. And all of us here, thank you for that. That will do it for me for now, guys. Please do the 4 main things. Stay smart, stay safe, take care of yourselves. For the love of God, please take care of the people around you. My name is John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.